What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. We got a banger for you guys today. We're talking about the Drake Corsair and the RSI Constellation Andromeda. Now, in the past, I did make a video about the Corsair, asking is it the best daily driver in the game. And while I had my fun with the Corsair, I enjoyed using the Corsair for that time. That doesn't mean that I can't be objective about the Corsair and see if there's a better option out there, than this ship. And the ship I'm gonna put it up against already, you guys already know, is the Andromeda. Like, which ship is better? Like, which ship should you choose? Now, the Corsair came out, I believe, a year and a half ago, something like that. And when the Corsair first came out, I loved it. I felt like it was kind of a glass cannon. It didn't have the strongest shields, and it was pretty easy to kill if you can get on it. But it dished out so much firepower from those forward-facing weapons, those 4 size 5s and those 2 size 4s. It just melted everything in its path. Then it kind of went down. Now it's a little bit back up. But I still think it doesn't fly as well as it did when it first came out. So with that being said, I want to see, is the Andromeda a little bit better of a choice? Now, with the Andromeda, you do have the size 5 mounts on them. I believe 2 of them are fixed. So you get 2 size 5s and 2 size 4s. So that is still a lot of forward-facing firepower. The Corsair does have more turrets on it, but let's just be honest about the turrets here real quick. These are size 2 weapons on these turrets, and if you know anything about the weapon ranges, the size 2s are pretty much for if anybody gets close into your ship to kind of protect it. You're not going to be putting down much DPS with these size 2 turrets on here, or the size 2 weapons on these turrets. So just kind of keep that in mind. You're going to have the most range from your forward facing weapons. These are just pretty much there to protect the sides of the ship. I do wish that maybe the top turret did get some of that forward facing, or some of that some size 3 weapons on it, to give it a little bit more range to kind of keep things off of it, because you really want to try to keep things off of you if you're flying the Corsair, because it really does not handle getting shot very well. Part of that is because I think the armor is not in the game yet, and I think this is a ship that's supposed to be very heavily armored, like some of its competition. So we know that the Corsair, I think it has, let me check the fleet yards right now. I'm going to scroll back up here. We're just going to go down the stats. Okay, so they're both large. The Corsair is a little bit smaller. You guys do know that I think size matters when it comes to ships, and it's very important. In terms of like their price, they're very competitively priced in the game and in real life. So either way, I think you can't go wrong with either ship. I do think, don't quote me on this because I haven't tried yet, I'm pretty sure the back of the Corsair is wide enough to fit the new tumbler tank inside of it. So that is something that you could probably consider if you want to, take something to pyro, right? And have a vehicle that can fly, do the bounties, and you can have something that can take care of a lot of ground stuff. And to be honest, the Tumbler Storm is actually very good. Even the regular variant is very good at shooting down air targets. So if you can get a Tumbler Storm inside of the Corsair, which I'm pretty sure it's wide enough to fit, that's a huge advantage for the ship. Now with the Andromeda, it cannot fit the new Tumbler Storm. It's too wide for the cargo grid. Now, one of the things that I've been saying a lot about the Andromeda is I hope that it gets some of the new design language from RSI, but we'll see. I don't see them making a Mark II Constellation anytime soon. So just try to keep that in mind. Now, what you are going to get with, with the Constellation, you are going to get a lot of different things. For instance, you're going to get more cargo storage. You're going to get 90 SCU of cargo storage. Also, there is another kind of cheaper way to kind of like cheese the cargo where your snub fighter is. You can get cargo boxes back there, but there is no cargo grid, and they have fixed the game to where you can only sell from your cargo grid now. So do keep that in mind as well. If you're trying to cheese the cargo system a little bit, you're not going to be able to do that with the Andromeda any longer. But you do get that snub fighter. So if you are like in a lot of trouble and you have the right amount of crew on your ship, you can deploy that snub fighter to kind of help out with with people trying to fight you. Now, I do want to talk about the Andromeda a little bit more because I kind of feel like the Andromeda is a little bit better of a choice, and I'm gonna give my reasons why. Even though it doesn't have the same kind of firepower that the Corsair has. So the first thing are the turrets. I feel like the turrets on the Andromeda are much better than the turrets on the Corsair. Not only because they can, unlike the side turrets right here, they can move in like all directions, but they have size 3 weapons on them, and they have a very large capacitor pool. So if you're doing things like, like ERT bounties with a friend, it's a very good ship to use with those forward-facing weapons. And the turrets, you're pretty much gonna smoke any ERT very quickly. Now you could do ERTs already quickly with just the pilot weapons alone, and let's not forget that the Andromeda, you can put a bunch of size 1 missiles on it, so that is also another big selling point to where you maybe you want to get a Andromeda over or Corsair. You also get the better cargo space, and I feel like it's a little bit more useful overall, and you don't have to deal with some of the jankiness of the Corsair's elevator. Sometimes the elevator can eat you and you get stuck inside of the ship, or sometimes it sends you through the ground. So these are some other things to think about as you're trying to like get a Corsair. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. I had a Corsair. The Corsair was my pledge ship for about, I don't know, probably about 6-7 months. I loved it. I had a series on where I was live streaming where I was living out of the Corsair as I was working my way up to getting an A2. And it was kind of fun because through all the wipes and stuff, I kept having to start over. So living out of my Corsair was a very fun thing that I did for those few months where we were trying to work our way up to the A2 through the all the wipes and stuff. So that was a very good time on the Corsair. But I just think that the Andromeda just edges it out just because it is a little bit more useful. You can run more cargo with it. You do have better top speed. It is faster in Atmo in a straight line. I feel like the Corsair handles slightly better, but I feel like the handling between the pitch and yaw and the roll between these two ships is very marginal. But the Corsair does edge it out in that department, and I do prefer maneuverability over straight line speed. But then again, with the Andromeda, it gives you the option to be a missile boat. So being able to turn is not necessarily something that you actually really need with the Andromeda, at least in my opinion. If you know what you're doing, you know that your ship doesn't turn that well, you can essentially just be a missile boat. Right now, backstrafing is still a thing. I would just hope that, just to kind of sidebar on the backstrafing, I feel like CIG should just, as of right now, nerf backstrafing in order to get people ready for master modes. I feel like that would be a great change, something they could implement in the interim, and maybe they can also implement changes to the upstrafe and all that stuff without messing with the speeds, and just seeing how that works in the game and seeing how that changes the dynamics before we get master modes in our hands. It could, like I said, it could be a good interim change. But getting back to the ships, I just feel like the Corsair and the Andromeda are very close in their operation. They're very close in what they're designed to do. I feel like they're great daily driving ships. The Corsair is more of a solo ship to where you can really just operate the ship alone. I feel like the Andromeda is more of a crewed ship. It's more of the style that CIG wants people to play the game in. One of the things that I do happen to like a lot about the Corsair is the engineering area is like in the center. It's like in the center of the ship in this circular room, so all the components are easy to access. I really haven't checked the component space on the Andromeda, but I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in the middle of the ship. I'm not exactly sure where all the components are, but I think it's somewhere in this area right here. So, I mean, they're similar in so many ways that either way, guys, remember, my opinions here are just purely subjective. I'm not trying to convince you one way or the other. I'm just trying to, you know, just give my opinion and like what I think about these ships, because both ships really are fantastic. And it's just, this one really just comes down to personal preference. I think that if these two ships were to fight and you had equally skilled pilots, the fights would be so equal that it really wouldn't matter like who won, because in my opinion, the ships are that equally matched. Both ships, if you put a ballistic loadout on them, are extremely dangerous. But I do think if you were to crew them, right, that's when it changes. That's when I feel like the Andromeda just is far superior, and also because you have the option of not only having a crew but having a snub fighter. I mean, that is huge in terms of like getting into a fight with if these two ships were to fight head up. So, my opinion, the Corsair falls just a little bit short, but like I said, guys, to me it's very, very marginal. You can't go wrong with a Corsair. The next thing I wanted to say is these ships are fantastic daily drivers because they touch every area of gameplay in Star Citizen. So you can do your cargo, you can do bounty hunting, you can do box missions, you can do service beacons, you can do exploration with both ships, and you can load vehicles in both ships. Like I said, I think the Corsair can fit the Tumbler Storm, but again, I'm not sure. And I know for certain that you guys are going to correct me down in the comments on that as well. So the other thing and this is for both ships. This is the big downside for both ships. And it's the way that the windows are set up, the way that you view out of the windows. Now on the Corsair, you have, and I know there's a lot of Corsair owners out here, but you have like this bar right here in the middle of the ship, and you have this big giant window, right? And one of the things that I find very odd is they don't change the way or where you look at your crosshair. I feel like the crosshair should be up towards the middle of the window, and it's the same thing on the Andromeda. Like you have this big giant space, but your crosshair is looking down here at this part. I feel like they should change that at some point in the future, or at least change to where you can look at your target, where your weapons are actually aiming at. That way you're not looking like down at a blind spot. It just makes it a little bit harder to do some of those combat missions, just because you have so much other stuff in the way. And I know this is supposed to be translucent steel, but even if it was translucent steel, it's still steel, right? So you essentially wouldn't really need like all of this extra structure right here, because it's steel, you know? But that's just my opinion on it. Comment down below and let me know what ship that you guys prefer. Not which ship you guys prefer. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I've already owned the Corsair, so I'm speaking from experience when I talk about this ship. And I would probably, if I have to go back and choose again, I'd probably just go ahead and get an Andromeda. So that's going to be it, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget, the ship giveaway is going to be on Saturday. I'm trying to still figure out a time. I will probably post the time for the stream on Friday. That way everybody has plenty of time to go ahead and get ready for the stream. It's probably going to be, I'm located in California on the West Coast. So it's probably going to be on the West Coast time, like sometime in the morning. And we'll probably have like a play along, get all the people in the Discord and play along with everybody as well. So I'll see you guys soon. See you guys in the next video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Peace.